naked feet, sometimes stomping.
What did you do in the Florida Keys?
Rhonda asked as she strolled to my desk.
Did you see anything?
Yes, lots of naked feet, sometimes stomping, I chirped, avoiding her steady gaze as I typed away. Bright, golden eyes popped around the edge of my cubicle just then.
Naked feet. Do explain.
Insisted Rhonda, smiling at me. Rhonda is an older friend and sexually confident with experience. She eyed me carefully, knowing my let me blend into the wallpaper ways when I'm confronted with uncomfortable situations. Yes, I stared at lots of naked feet. Every time I looked above the knees, things were going bounce, bounce, bounce. So I just kept looking down and asking my boyfriend, Dan, for more of those yummy strawberry frozen drinks he called daiquiri.
Where did you stay?
Rhonda grinned from ear to ear. Things were starting to sound good to her, and she was enjoying watching me wiggle uncomfortably in my chair. Some place he booked that was clothing optional. Only people seemed to be opting out of them. I squirmed under her knowing stare, hoping she would just drop this line of questioning.
You don't drink.
She burst out laughing, her gaze taking on a faraway look as she let the visuals play out in her mind that my words had conjured. Yes, but when I stopped drinking, all the other body parts came back into focus. I exclaimed.
They came into focus,
Rhonda grinned at me. Yes, especially when I hopped into the hot tub and some other women decided to join me. Only they were sitting on top of the edge of the in-ground hot tub with only their legs in the water, I said with my mouth forming an unhappy frown at the memory.
And what did you see?
Rhonda asked, leaning towards me with interest. Well, their legs were all spread. I discovered that on a woman's body, both sets of lips move when you talk, although you can't lip read the lower set, I mumbled, my eyes tossing this way and that way to avoid my friend's gaze. Now I can't help but to wonder if men try to get the woman in their lives to talk when he is going down on them. Is there a hidden agenda here us women don't know about? I wondered. Rhonda laughed heartily at my comment. With mirth dancing in her golden eyes, she asked.
You tried to lip read the lower set of lips, when you could not bring your drunk-ass eyes up to their face?
Yup, that's about the sum of it, I squirmed again.
What else happened? I know you didn't stay in the hot tub the whole weekend. Come on, give me more details.
She insisted. I looked up at Rhonda with pleading eyes, thinking I really didn't want to divulge any more of the embarrassing weekend. How was I supposed to know that Dan would book us a room at a place where everyone was a swinger? Assessing her facial expression, I knew I had to give her at least a little more details from the weekend getaway. It's my own fault, really, as I had talked excitedly for the last few weeks about this upcoming trip. I don't remember a lot, I said as I looked away to avoid meeting her eyes. But I do remember Saturday night when Dan and I were in the hot tub, that a man watching slipped into the water with us and that caught Dan's attention. About 5 minutes later, the group of people watching us from the tiki hut came over, and each one held up a piece of paper with a number on it as they walked by. Dan burst out laughing as they verbally rendered their verdict of our performance. You know, I don't see very far. It was after midnight when we arrived back at the hotel, and it was very dark. I didn't even know they were in the tiki hut, watching us. I don't even know where the man that joined us in the hot tub came from. I was very drunk and thought we were all alone. I lamented, embarrassment at my actions coloring my cheeks red. Rhonda burst out laughing, eyeing me speculatively.
What were you wearing? What were you doing to Dan in the hot tub?
My birthday suit. It sounded like a reasonable idea at the time, I solemnly stated, meeting her gaze with a level one of my own. Damn it, if I did it, I will own it. I thought to myself as I bolstered my courage for the next part. Well, Dan wanted a blowjob. So I thought if I gave him one under the water, even if someone wandered by, no one would see a thing because I would be underwater and it was dark. It just seemed so logical at the time to me, especially after a day of daiquiris and almost no food. Apparently, that is what they rated us on. I looked up at Rhonda in shock and horror. My birthday suit. It sounded like a reasonable idea at the time, I solemnly stated.
Do you remember anything else?
She asked, wiping tears of humor from her eyes. Rhonda knows what a prude I can be due to my upbringing. Only naked feet, sometimes stomping. I mumbled as I peered around Rhonda and realized we had an audience of coworkers that had gathered behind her to eavesdrop on our conversation. Rhonda turned around to face the crowd, then threw one last playful look my way before walking back to her desk.